Welcome to a new edition of the Neon Jazz interview series with Italian jazz saxophonist and composer Leonardo Radicchi. We caught up with him on June 30th, 2020 to talk about his latest 2020 CD, Songs for People. It's his fourth album as a leader and his second to feature Grammy Award-winning Robin Eubanks with the trio. Already well established in his home country, playing regularly at the major Italian festivals, and selected as one of the 100 greatest jazz albums in the Jazzit 2019 awards, he now appears ready to make his mark on the international stage once the world opens up. He graduated from the Berklee College of Music in Boston and has gone on to some big things in his life. Get to know him and dig this interview.
Well, I think it's probably a good idea for us to talk about music, and you got a great new project with Robin Eubanks. So, Songs for People. Yes. Talk to me a little bit. This is your fourth album as a leader, and it's your second to feature Robin. Talk to me a little bit about, I guess I want to come from this from two angles. What is it like to release an album during a global pandemic where people can probably listen to it a little bit more, but you can't do any touring?
Okay, the main reason, to be honest, is because publishing an album is something like, I don't know, I don't want to be inappropriate, but something sounds like a pregnancy. When you are ready to release, you have to release whatever is the situation around. Music have to go in a way that you imagine for it. And I don't know. To be honest, I didn't thought too much about people can listen more or less to this music now during the pandemic. I need to be honest, I was more thinking about this music is ready. This music can go out right now, and we'll see if the people are gonna listen to it or not. And apparently, so far, at least from my point of view, there is some interest around of this album. So people are listening to the album. For example, in Italy right now, because the pandemic is very complicated to print CDs and vinyls. So everything physically is gonna be late. Probably the CD is gonna be available on the store in September, October, and people are already asking for it, and it's pretty weird. So yes, I think that my approach every time is okay. Let's see where the music wants to go and let it go, and then we'll see what happens. And so far, I was pretty lucky, I can say.
What was it like creatively to work with Robin? This is the second project. What was this project like?
Working with Robin for me was a challenge and an honor, first of all. This group came from an idea to have a scenario, an ideal scenario, to think about where you are playing music. Right now, I play jazz since I was pretty young. More than 10 years ago, I was at Berklee College of Music, where I get the degree on music. But after a while, I was trying to look for something to put in my music. So something that gives to the music some sense. And with this band and all the music I write for this band, I was trying to find some kind of sense to the music, some kind of value to give to the music. And working with Robin was very inspiring, because Robin is very probably one of the best trombone player around, but it's not just about it. Robin is a memory of some kind of legacy of jazz, of meaning of playing jazz. And for me, that I choose jazz as a elective language. I'm not from the States. I'm from Italy, from a small village in Italy. And I grew up at Umbria Jazz, that is a very famous festival in Europe. And so since I was young, I listened to many masters of jazz. But working with Robin was the chance for me to approach this music and to try to put in music much more sense, much more meanings.
So you did talk about your beginnings in the festival when you were younger. Talk to me a little bit about how, like, your childhood and how jazz became your life.
Well, when I was very, very young, I grew up in a family where my father is playing accordion as a hobby, as a part-time occupation, and I was listening to him playing in the dancing hall and something like that in Italy, and then we have this little collection of albums at home, and I was listening to this and to that, and one day I just took one LP and was a Louis Armstrong collection, just not really an album, a collection of different best of Louis Armstrong. And I was very, very young. I believe I was like 7 years old. And I listened to it, and after a while I listened to a specific sound of an instrument. And this sound was the saxophone of Bud Freeman. And I say, well, I want to play that instrument. And so I convinced my father to buy for me a saxophone, and then he tried to play alongside all this music that was coming through. And one day, I remember very well, I was 11, I believe, or 12. Benny Golson came to play in a club in Perugia, my hometown, in Umbria. And with him in the band there were also Curtis Fuller. I was 11, I didn't know very well who was Benny Golson, but I knew very well who was Curtis Fuller because he was in the Blue Train, John Coltrane records. And I told to my father, well, there is this guy, the same of the CD, you have to bring me there. And so I was there, and then, well, I was already there. I understood that probably jazz is gonna be my life.
Yeah, right on. Benny actually came to town last fall with our Kansas City Jazz Orchestra, and he's 90 years old. He came up on stage. It was amazing. It was just amazing.
Yes.
So I can attest to that power. So was it always a dream of yours to come to America to study and to have some time here, or did it just kind of happen that Berklee was the best place for you? How did that work out for you?
To be honest, it happens that probably around 2007, 2008, I was attending a masterclass of James Newton, the famous flute player from the West Coast, and he suggested me to organize a little bit my naive background of music, because I mostly played as a self-made musician. I was playing alongside the famous recordings, but I didn't study too much with no school, not really an academic background, let's say. And he suggested me to approach a real school, and so he suggested me Berklee and other institutes around the States and other institutes around Europe. And I tried to get my information, and I decided Berklee was my dream. I tried to apply it, and then, well, I was admitted. I won a scholarship, etc., and it was possible for me to complete my background there, and my preparation there was very, very important for me. I had the chance to study with Al Crook, Bill Pierce, George Garzone, Ed Tomasi, people that for me were just heroes. And so, yes, I was very, very lucky.
You were nominated as the for the Jazzit Awards as the best Italian saxophone player in 2019. You got an album coming out now. Seems like your career is hitting some pretty good strides right now.
Yes, I was nominated in this pool, and I was very honored because alongside me there were other very, very good Italian saxophone player and people that I can consider my teachers more than my
Is he on
colleague.
the bench?
But
Is he on the bench?
for me it was an honor because I don't know if this kind of stuff make any sense, but let's say that if there is a sense for me is to have the chance to reach more people. Your music can reach more people, and then so much more people can listen to what I'm playing and can think about and can feel about what I'm playing, and they can decide if this music touch them, and if they are touched by the music, well, I get my point. So yes, I think there is a good chance in this stuff. Then we'll see in the next what gonna be, if it's gonna be something durable or if just a good luck for a year.
We're in a time right now where there's no live jazz, and you've had a lot of experience with touring and festivals and playing with musicians. What good memories are you thinking about right now about all of those times that you've played live? Is there anything that's coming to you now that we haven't been able to play live music for a while?
Well, for me, the best feeling, the best vibration for the live concert came from. I love to play in a big stage, big festivals. Many people listen to you. It's a great feeling. I cannot say the opposite. But to be honest, the main reason because I play this music is for the vibration that you get in a small venue. Place that right now is very hard to play because of the situation of the pandemic, but the small jazz club, people are really literally sitting one on each other and listen to your music. They have the chance just to tap the foot and no more. And this kind of place, you can really let happen something, and music can have enough resonance in the room, and the room is not too big to get disappearing immediately. And if I have to think something very, very good from my live experiences in this kind of place where when you stop to play, many people come to you and want to talk about your music or music in general, want to talk about the meaning of the music, the vibration, the atmosphere that was there is the best memory I have. Then for the future, I really don't know. I really hope that we're going to come out from this nightmare and start again to have music, socialize, to use the music to meet people.
So talk to me about what is the best part of being a musician for you?
It's an hard question. Okay, this is something that for sure is just a personal view, but for me the best part is the intimacy you get with the sound. Because to be honest, even the year and the period that I tour more, I play more, anyway, the much more time, the most of the time that I spent with the instrument was practicing anyway, by my own or with my band, and you get an intimacy, really intimate relation with the sound, not just with your instrument, but with the sound of the instrument, and that stuff is something that is almost a Zen exercise, something that can bring you in a status that is much, much more deep than how I normally live my rest of my life. So, yes, for me, it's this feeling that can happen even in a live concert, but it's not just there, not just live. It's also happening where you are practicing, where you are rehearsing, etc.
When we do return to live, actually, let me ask you this first. What was the first live jazz show, musician you saw live that made you think, this is something I'd like to do?
The first live show of jazz I saw in the past, I can't remember really. Probably was at this festival, Umbre Jazz in Perugia, and probably was Scott Hamilton playing something in the main stage of the festival around 3 o'clock in the afternoon, something like that, because I was very young, I believe, and I was just walking around with my parents, and we stopped by this main stage just to listen for a while, and then I want to stay there all the concert. But I can't say how far was in the time, and I don't remember when happened. It's exactly. I was young. I was very young.
On the ground.
Okay. Let me ask you this. We're going to get back to live music, and when we do, what do you hope both the musician and the audience realizes from this time away from live music?
I really don't know. There is an opportunity in front of us, if we can get it. Using this time of stop of the live music to choose better what we can play and what we can go to listen next time. Because, to be honest, we realized during the lockdown that there were a lot of shows every night in our towns. Maybe we didn't realize so much before, but when we stopped everything, we realized how big was the quantity of music that we were giving to the audience and how much music the audience had the chance to get. So maybe this time we can, because we are forced to play less and to play for less people in front of us, so we can maybe choose better what to play, choose better, even in the small vision, in the small picture. For example, choose better the notes, choose better what we play and why we are playing that. Maybe playing less stuff to show off our technique or stuff like that, and maybe try to communicate more. And then as the part from the audience can be choose better what really can emotion you most, than can be simply a show, an entertainment. I don't know, something like that.
So let's say you come to Kansas City and you're promoting this new album and you play live at one of our premier clubs off 18th and Vine. How would you describe the experience of a live show for this album?
Let's say that this album is a narrative album. It's an album that every song is a story. And is very, in the past in jazz was very common to tell a story with playing a solo or a song. Right now, much music is a little bit less connected to the idea of storytelling. This album is very connected to this old practice of storytelling in playing jazz music, but somehow is also contemporary, much more contemporary, because every story is talking about us now, today, talking about, I don't know, things from Greta Thunberg to the Mediterranean tragedy of the migrants, the migrations, or I don't know. My music right now is very connected to what happens right now in the world, and so it's very contemporary somehow. In the other end, it's very traditional, because the language I choose to use is not particularly experimental or weird. I don't know. It's just trying to use the roots to say something different, something new or personal.
I like it. That's a great answer. Let me ask you this. Everyone has a perception of you, your family, your friends, your fans, but you're the one that's living your life. Who do you think you are?
I'm a man that I'm trying to do my best to be a decent man. Before to be a good musician, I try to be a decent man, and then just when I feel that I'm close to be a decent man, then maybe I can play a little bit better. That's it.
Cool. That's great, man. That's a great answer. Leonardo, thank you for taking some time out today.
Thank you very much.
Thanks, Leonardo.
Thanks for listening and tuning into another Neon Jazz interview, where we give you a bit of insight into the finest players in Italy, Boston, New York City, Kansas City, and spots all over the world, giving fans all that jazz. Thanks to Leonardo for his time, music, and story. If you want to hear more interviews, go to Famous Interviews with Joe Domino in the iTunes Store. Visit Neon Jazz at YouTube.com, and for everything Neon Jazz all the time, go to the neonjazz.blogspot.com. Until next time, enjoy the jazz, my friends.
Neon Jazz.